And we are live. Good evening, everyone. It's 6:30. Looking forward to this live stream. Please leave me a comment, or please leave a question in the chat box there if you have any questions. Really looking forward to this. Really curious what kind of questions you guys are going to have this week. I'm going to try to do this every single week. So if you're watching this after the 28th of September, this is a live stream. So you're watching the replay. But I'm going to be doing a live stream every Tuesday at about 6:30, answering your questions. I try to get to as many of the questions you guys have when you post a comment on my channel, but I don't get to all of them. So I want to, hey, Jennifer, good to see you. I want to make sure I answer all your questions here. So this is a good way to do that, I think. Jennifer, how's your evening going so far? Thanks for joining. And then, by the way, can everyone hear me? Certainly hope so. Jennifer, can you hear me? All right, there you go. Cool. All right. So first question, Raymond Torres, thanks for joining. We have 20 people already on the live stream here, and I didn't really post too much about it. So thanks everyone for going. Jennifer, thank you. Audio is good. All right, awesome. Perfect. So Raymond Torres, thanks for your question. What's the home price prediction for Southern California? So I definitely, thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Hey, Pradeep. So yeah, I get this question often. I am not an expert across the nation, and definitely not in other parts of California other than Sacramento area, where I'm a real estate agent. So home price prediction for Southern California, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I'm not familiar with your market there. I do post what California housing market updates on a weekly or monthly basis. But yeah, I really wouldn't have a good idea about predictions there. You may want to ask Jeb Smith. He's a real estate agent in Southern California. Thanks for your question. I wish I could be an expert across the nation in multiple areas, but I really am not. Audio is good. Thank you so much. Pradeep, yeah, hi. Thanks for joining, everyone. All right. So the anomaly, I am seeing price drops alerts on Zillow. Are we expecting a turnaround in the market? So let's talk about turnaround or housing market shift versus like seasonality, right? So seasonality, this is time of year where a lot of people put their home plans on hold to buy a house. And so we tend to see less inventory, less home sales during this time of the year. I'm personally seeing a lot of overzealous home sellers where they think their house is worth $2 million or whatever, and it's really worth like $1.5 million or whatever. So I'm personally seeing it's kind of a mix of overzealous sellers and just some seasonality of the housing market we have right now. But if you're seeing some price drops, that's kind of expected. Unless you're seeing a ton in your area, that's more or less expected during this time of year. What's going to be really interesting, in my opinion, though, is how are the increase of mortgage interest rates? How is that going to be affecting our housing market into the rest of the year into 2022? Because they've increased about 0.5% in I think it's about 2 months. They've increased quite a bit. All right. So Kamal Preet, thanks for your question. Do you think it's a good time to buy in Fresno, California, Bakersfield, California? Is it more affordable than the rest of California? Will you? I think your question got cut off, but I don't see the rest of it anywhere else. Yeah, thanks for your question. So yeah, again, I'm not an expert in Fresno or Bakersfield. Actually, I have no idea what the market's like there. But I do believe it's probably more affordable than other parts of California, such as Southern California in the Bay Area, for example. Good time to buy. I get this question often, which I totally get you. I understand where you guys are coming from. I would just say buy when it's right for you. Have long-term time horizons. Who knows if home prices are going to be decreasing next year, let alone in 2 years? Really have no idea. Caitlin, hello. Northern Virginia. All right, awesome. Caitlin, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Well, it's 9:30 over there, I think, right? Thanks for joining. Jennifer Lego, thanks for your support on the channel. She's often on these live streams here and comments on my channel, so I really appreciate that. And for everyone else who's subscribed on the channel as well. All right, I'm considered a credit risk due to no score. How much of an increase on the base interest rate should I plan for? I'm considered a credit. I assume you're talking about for buying a house. So I'm considered a credit risk due to no score. Maybe you mean that you don't have much credit history. So I'd be curious to know what your FICO score is. You don't have to post that on the live stream here, but I'd be curious what your credit score is. So you need approximately 740, 760 to get the best interest rate. It doesn't mean you need that rate in order to buy a house. But if you have basically no credit history whatsoever, I would just take steps in order to get there. So you could open up a secured credit line or secured credit card. There are a bunch of things you can do. I actually posted some videos a while ago about how to increase your credit score. So I think I have a playlist about that as well. But yeah, increase of base rate. I actually don't know the answer to that. If you have I don't know, 600 credit score or 650 versus 740, it probably varies by the lender about what your interest rate will be. But you'll get the best rate, which in my opinion, you probably should wait until you get the best rate of 740 or higher for a FICO score. Thank you for your question, Jennifer. Brian Fraser, thanks for joining. Do you see multifamily buildings as a good investment? So those are a little bit, yes and no. It depends on the area, I assume. But the challenge with multifamily buildings is that it tends to be a little bit harder to get a loan approved. So you have commercial lending versus residential lending of 1 to 4 units. And honestly, I'm a residential real estate agent. I only work really in single family houses. Um, we don't have a whole lot of like duplexes and triplexes in Sacramento, except for like near downtown. Any case, I don't have a whole lot of experience with multifamily, so I probably would reach out to if you're looking for commercial buildings, multifamily buildings. I assume you're meaning 4+ units. If you are, then I'd reach out to a commercial broker in your area. If you're talking about a duplex, triplex, or a quad, then yeah, if you could live in one side and rent out the other to pay for your mortgage, that's awesome. If I was 30 years old again, which was a while ago, I would definitely house hack. It's just a great way to save a lot of money. All right. All right. The anomaly has a good question again. All right. The seasonality you mentioned for my earlier question, did it not exist last year because of the COVID shutdown last year, which is why we saw a strong sellers market this time? So, yeah, absolutely. This is a really good question. So the seasonality you mentioned, so the seasonality that we normally expect every single year, like clockwork, did not happen in 2020. 2020, I am really hesitant when I'm comparing housing stats this year compared to last year, because last year was a complete anomaly. This time last year, the housing market was still in full swing, taking off like crazy, and home prices really didn't decrease much for the rest of the year, for the second half of the year, which you tend to see that during a more seasonal housing market. But with the new stay-at-home orders, with the new work-at-home arrangements, and then also with interest rates being so low, they dropped in, I think it was March. We had a lot of interest in real estate late last year, which is completely abnormal. And then also, yeah, COVID shutdown. So in my area where I'm in Sacramento, obviously, we had a stay-home order. I think it was in middle of March, if I'm not mistaken. It lasted for about a month or so. And as real estate agents, we weren't even allowed to meet with our clients face to face. So all the home sales and just a lot of home sellers took the house off the market. So a COVID shutdown really affected when we typically have the hottest time of year in Sacramento. So we tend to have the hottest market in really like middle of February through like June, July. So because we had the shutdown, it really kind of pushed out that hot market that we typically have every year. So that was a big effect on it. So yeah, and why we have a strong sellers market is because we have a lack of housing inventory, and we had that even before the pandemic hit. So yeah, really good question. All right, so Julie, should I wait? Hold out. I've been looking for a 4-bedroom house in Pinellas, Pinellas. I'm not sure how you pronounce that county in Florida. $500,000 home and no pool in Florida. Should you hold out? I don't know what you're holding out for. Maybe you're hoping for houses to decrease in value there. Yeah, again, I'm not too familiar with the market there in Florida, so I really couldn't answer that question. But anyone who has a question about, should I buy now? Here's my advice for you. Have long-term time horizons, meaning you don't plan to sell your house for at least 7 to 10 plus years, have a stable job, have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of all your expenses saved in a bank account that you're not even going to touch when you buy a house. So if you don't have all that, I wouldn't buy a house. And this is advice basically I would give someone who, asked me 5 years ago too. It's not just this year. Brian, so what are your thoughts about on banks placing holds on home equity loans? Actually, I made videos about this earlier on during this pandemic. So a lot of the banks did place holds on issuing new lines of credit for like HELOCs, for example. And I can't recall the banks. I think it was like Bank of America, maybe Wells Fargo. I can't quite remember, but that was normal. They did that earlier on during this pandemic. So I would say probably in May of last year, maybe. Prices are high and banks are concerned with secondary loans. Yeah, they've been concerned about that for a while now. And actually, to be honest, I haven't looked at to see if that has changed much. And Jennifer, you have no open accounts, no score. Yeah, I would definitely, if for anyone who is looking to boost up their credit score, if they have no credit score whatsoever, or they have a low credit score, want to get that 740 mark, open up a secured credit card. So how that works is that you have, let's say, a $500 limit. You place $500 in a bank in their account, and you have a $500 spending limit, and that just helps you build credit. I would definitely do that. Hey, Linda, thanks for joining. So Linda is a loan officer. She can help you all your loan questions here. FHA allows alternative credit. It's fabulous. All right. All right. So Makeup Glam One. I just sold my house in Las Vegas. Congratulations. Made a $300,000 profit. Gosh, I'd be curious how long you actually how long you owned your house for. I plan to move to Orange County, California. Oh, that's a big adjustment. Okay. But I plan on getting, by keeping outbid them through, though I'm a cash buyer. Oh, wow. Very frustrating. Do you have any advice? Wow. Keep getting outbid even though you're a cash buyer. So what I'm personally seeing in the greater Sacramento area, which I would imagine they're probably seeing that Orange County as well. I'm seeing this more last or early this spring, where we had a lot of people who were even using loans, but writing offers with no contingencies whatsoever. So I had a cash buyer, and it was very, very challenging to get offers accepted when we're competing against people who are saying, hey, I'm good with the house. I'm going to write an offer, no contingencies whatsoever. I'll do my inspections, but I'll be fine with that. Very, very risky. That's what I'm seeing. I guess I'd be curious. I'm not familiar with Orange County, so I'd be curious. What's the percentage of cash buyers in Orange County? Is it 40%? Is it 30%? In Sacramento, it's about 15%. So I would say that if you're getting outbid, I know that can be very, very frustrating. I would ask your real estate agent if there's anything they can do to make your offers look more enticing. So if you're a cash buyer, obviously you have no loan, no appraisal contingency. So the only contingency you have is the inspection contingency. So make sure you're doing a shortened period. So like 7 days, for example, whatever's coming in your area as far as like a fast contingency period. The other thing you can do is write an offer with a higher deposit amount, and then a shorter close of escrow. So the shorter close of escrow really depends on the property, though. So if you find a property that's vacant, for example, and the people have moved to a different place and are paying two mortgages, that's like a prime opportunity for a cash buyer, because you can write an offer with a very fast close of escrow, which is what a seller probably wants if they're paying two mortgages. However, if you find a house where they're living in it, they need to rent back, and they're receiving offers where the buyers have a loan in place, but they're writing offers with no contingencies, that's really hard to compete against. I would just let them do that. You're more than welcome, Brian. So I hope that answers your question, Makeup Glam. But yeah, reach out to your loan office, your real estate agent, and see if he or she can get any insight about what was the winning bid, what was the terms of that offer. All right, Jennifer, I found a lender willing to try desktop underwriting. So that's a DU underwriting. It's very common. If you want to get pre-approval from a lender, they enter your income and your debt payments, and then they run your credit, and the computer basically gives you a DU, pre-approval, which is called desktop underwriting. I'm not interested in any liners outside of a mortgage. I'm not interested in any opening liners. Yeah, I would just look into opening up a secured credit card. I wish I knew about the Boise, Idaho market. Bob, thanks for your question. Um, as far as I know, the market there has been absolutely nuts ever since this pandemic's hit. But yeah, I'm not familiar. I'm not too familiar other than that. I know that they've been one of the top markets in the entire nation as far as price appreciation. Such a good question, MD. How high do you think mortgage rates will go? So yeah, they went up from 2.8, I think, in early August, and they were around 3.16. So they increased greatly, and that's part of that's because of Fed saying, "Hey, we're going to be tapering the purchases of mortgage-backed securities," and the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield is skyrocketed. It's about 1.55%. So I think how high do I think they're going to go? Yeah, it depends on how high the U.S. Treasury goes, and then also when the Fed starts tapering their purchases of bonds, and then also, last but not least, when they increase the federal funds rate. It sounds like that's going to be towards the tail end of next year. And when they do that, you definitely would expect an increase of mortgage rates. But I think we're seeing that already happening because of Fed announcements saying they're going to be tapering the bond purchases. I wish I can give you a number. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I do not. So anyone's watching, 79 people right now. That's really awesome. So please hit the like button. I appreciate that. And thanks for joining. All right. Where can we go to see the value of our home before we close to refi? Where can we go to see the value of our home before we choose refi? So what I would do, I would reach out to a real estate agent. Maybe it's the person who helped you buy the house, and to give you a valuation estimate. They should be more than willing to do that if they helped you buy the house. I do that with people as well. Yeah, so I would just ask your real estate agent, or if you or didn't have a good experience or you're not in contact with a person, you can ask any real estate agent and then give you a valuation estimate so you can figure out whether or not it's worth your time or not. Because an appraisal is around like $500 to $650. So a real estate agent doing it will do it for free. If you're in the Sacramento area, then I don't know if you are, but if you are, then you can shoot me an email and I can more than happy help you. All right. Mo Betta. Do you think the Zillow owned homes that are now selling for less than Zillow paid for them, do you think these homes will exacerbate any downturn in the market? So I think it's really important to know how Zillow works, right? So Zillow operates by, and this is true for, Open Door as well. So they have actually a brilliant model, in my opinion, where they charge the seller an upfront fee that's very comparable to what a seller would pay a real estate agent to list their house. Sometimes it can be a lot more, sometimes it can be just comparable. So in Zillow and Open Door, they often can charge around 5% in order to buy your house, basically, right? So these companies that buy your house, they make their money largely on the front end. So when they purchase the house, they charge the fee to the homeowner. That's where they make the money. So if they can sell the house for virtually what they paid for, like a month or 2 months later, then that's great for them because they already made their 5%. And they also have agents who typically sell their houses for a discount as well, meaning they don't charge 6% in order to sell the house. They might charge 1% on the list side and then 2.5% on the buy side. So if you're seeing houses that are not selling for less than Zillow paid for them, then I don't really expect that's going to cause a downturn in the housing market. As far as I know, they have a very, very small market share across the United States. And so that's not really going to affect the housing market very much. Good question. Actually, a video that was really well done, in my opinion, is was done by Meet Kevin. He had a really good breakdown about how the Zillow and other companies are buying houses, how that's affecting the market or not affecting the market. All right. Thank you for helping out, Linda. All right, I want to get to some of these other questions here. All right. Justin Pearson, thanks for your question. Thanks for joining. And thanks to everyone who's joining here on as well. I'm going to try to wrap this up at 7:30 tonight, but we'll see. It depends on how many questions I have because I want to answer your questions really. Hey. On the Central Coast, it seems like home sale prices are mellowing a bit, but rent prices seem to be flying up and catching up from last year. Have you seen that at all? Honestly, it's a good question. I don't really follow like rent prices so much. It's really hard to track that because it depends on the area, right? So in my market, we don't really have like a listing service for rental properties. I don't know what's like in the Central Coast. So it's hard to track that. I really don't track rental prices at all. But home prices have seemed to mellow out a bit, which is common for this time of the year. We'll have to see if that continues though. Medios, thank you. Appreciate it. How you doing? All right. Jit, thank you for your question. I've been looking for a 4-bedroom house in the Bay Area. Down, you're paying 20% down is fine, but worried about the monthly mortgage. Is it risky to get it? Wow, $1.3 million loan on total household gross, 400,000. That does seem a little bit high to me. So if you have a $1.3 million loan, I'd be curious to what your interest rate is because that would probably be a jumbo loan. So a jumbo loan sometimes can have comparable interest rates, sometimes less, sometimes more. So I would find out what your payment would be. So what I would typically stick to is that you want your housing payment to be around 25% of your income. So I don't know what $1.3 million loan would be. But yeah, if you're worried about your monthly mortgage payment on $1.3 million loan, that's a hefty loan amount. I hear you. I would definitely get a 30-year fixed, but yeah, take a look at what your mortgage payment's going to be and then compare that to your gross. And also too, you don't want to be like, super house rich and cash poor either, because you don't want to be living and have a giant mortgage payment and not be able to enjoy life by go traveling or whatever. So I hope that answers your question in a roundabout way. Nice. Bought it in 2011. Good time to buy a house. I wish I bought a house in 2011. Nice job. $300,000 profit in 10 years. Not bad. Can't do that by putting money in a savings account, right? All right. Nabil Fares. I bought a short sale in California in January 2021. That was recently. Okay. Now I have over $250,000 equity. Wow, really? In 9 months, you have $250,000 in equity. I'd be curious to know how much you put down. Do you think the market will shift to buyer market by next year? Absolutely not. Honestly, I do not see that happening. The level of housing inventory has been so low for, gosh, what, a year and a half now? We're at around like 2 months supply. We would need, in order to have a buyer's market, we have to have like 6 months or more. That'd be there had to be something drastic that happened, right? Home sales just they stop selling, or housing inventory increases greatly. But what I'm really curious though, looking into 2022 is, what are mortgage rates going to look like? We're so used to rates of less than 3%, which is absolutely insane. My parents bought their house in the 1980s. Their interest rate was on a 30-year fix was like 15%. This is insane. So I think people are getting used to 3% interest rates. So I don't think we're going to have a buyer's market for a long, long time unless something drastically happens, like interest rates absolutely skyrocket. Everyone lists their house for sale, so inventory floods the market. But I don't really see that happening. I do see an increase of mortgage interest rates, though. Another question very similar. Pradeep, thanks for your question. Do you think next year will be more favorable for home buyers in California? So yeah, I wish I had a crystal ball for you. Again, it goes back to mortgage interest rates. I think that if we have a big increase of rates, that could affect the housing market, slow it down, become more favorable to home buyers. But guys, there's so much at play. I mean, who's to know how many people are going to be listing their houses for sale? It's just impossible to even know that. That kind of goes to this question here. So, Nozia, how long do you think it'll take to increase inventory? Yeah, it just depends. Like, how many people decide to list their houses, right? If we have more, in my opinion, if we have more housing inventory, that could, in fact, cause even more housing inventory because we have people who own their houses, want to buy, but they're looking on the MLS saying, "Hey, I don't see any houses for sale I want to buy, so I'm not going to sell my house." So if they see more options online, may they be more inclined to list their house for sale. So it could have this like trickling effect. But yeah, it's anyone's guess when that all happen. And Brian Smith has a good question. So do you think there's no chance of housing correction? No, I don't think there's like no chance. It just depends on how high interest rates go. I think that's like, for me, that's like the biggest factor right now. So we'll have to see. Yeah, it just depends on how many people list their houses for sale. We have 100 people on the live stream right now. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah, leaving me a question in the chat box there if you have any questions. All right. So we have Vikas Dewar. I currently have a house, but I'm planning to buy a bigger house, 3,900 square feet around the suburbs of Austin, Texas. Gosh, the market in Austin, Texas has been absolutely insane. Last time I saw home prices were up like 40%. That was a couple months ago, though. Current year over year. Current price is around 900 to 1 million, but I'm seeing inventory increasing. Should I buy or wait? I wish I could tell you the answer to that. I am not familiar too much. I'm not really familiar with the market there. Um, you may want to reach out to what's his name, Jeremy Knight. He's a real estate agent in the Austin, Texas area. He'd be the person to ask. But yeah, if you're seeing inventory increasing, that's interesting. I would expect that this time of year, though. I'm really thinking I should make a video about my housing market predictions, and I want to do that. Maybe I'll post that next week because I know a lot of you guys want to know about that. So Al Bundy, that's an awesome name. Do you think it'll crash this year? I'm looking to pay cash. Don't want to pay today's prices. Do you think it will crash this year? The housing market is not going to crash this year. That's my prediction. I could be totally wrong. Like, what if mortgage interest rates shot up to like 4% or something like that? I don't see that happening, but you never know. Um, a housing crash, something drastically would have to happen because because housing inventory is so low. A slowdown, I could see that happening if rates increase. If they skyrocket, everyone sells their houses and they flood the market with inventory, that could crash the market. We'll see. Oh, cool. Real estate with John. How you doing, John? New Sacramento agent here. Awesome. Being a real estate agent, it's a lot of fun, I tell you, John. I've been a real estate agent for, gosh, almost 8.5 years. Any advice for someone new to the industry? Um, the best advice I got when I got my license was pay attention to your client's pocketbook and not yourself. That's the best advice I got. Really, it's like you want to do what's best for your clients, not what's best for you. If you do that, have really good customer service with your clients, you'll do a good job. But my advice for you, if you're in the Sacramento area, any advice, I would say start a YouTube channel. It's a great way to generate business. That's be my advice for you. But you can always shoot me an email too if you have any questions. Yeah, I wish I could predict. If I had the ability to predict the housing market interest rates, I'd be a rich man, right? Yeah, Linda's a good follow up on Jeet's comment about should he buy a house with, I think it was a $1.3 million loan. So you want your debt to income ratio to be below 45%. All depends on your FICO, and of course, if you are key points for qualifying. So I just followed up with that. Just find out what your housing payment would be and see if that's a number you're comfortable with for 30 years, right? Or 15 years, whatever you're going to be doing. Taz Singh, I bought house 3 months ago, and I can't read. I bought house 3 months ago in Sacramento. Congratulations, value dropped by 20,000. So my follow up question of that is, how do you know it dropped $20,000? If you're looking on like the Zestimate or the Redfin estimate, those are just based on like a computer algorithm. So I would just I would do your own homework to find out to see if really have your value has decreased. I'd be surprised 3 months ago. I'd be surprised if it decreased, but it just depends on how much you paid for the house and where you bought. Yeah. Let's see. I lost the track. All right. Yeah. Nice job. 25% increase. Yeah. And in Sacramento, we're about like a 20 to 25% increase year over year. All right. The anomaly. My spouse is looking to become a sales rep. Is this a good time to jump in the market? Any leads on programs, books to prepare for the California state license? I took I just did online. This was a long time ago. This was in, gosh, early 2013, I think it was. But I used it was a company called First Tuesday. So FIRST Tuesday. I thought they were great. I just did all online. What I did to prepare for the license is that I just read the materials. I think they give you books, I think, and then I just did the questions online, and there was like 1,000 of them. I did them at least two. I answered every single one of them like at least 2 or 3 times, and I took the test, and it was so easy. It was crazy. I think it took me like about half an hour to do the exam, but it was because I just went crazy on going over all those questions on the those practice questions. That's what I would do. I did flashcards, and then I did the practice questions. All right, Sarah Herrera. Hey Jason, hello. How are you doing? Can you explain how refinance works? Is it the same for car loans? Actually, I'm not too sure how it works for car loans. So refinance works. Gosh, um, how do I explain that? So let's just say I actually did a refi last year. And so what I personally did is that I saw, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me to do a refi? And then also what is going to be my savings per month if I actually do a refi? So typically when you refinance your mortgage, you want a lower monthly payment, right? You want to get a lower interest rate. And so what I personally did is I saw, okay, well, how much is my savings per month is going to be versus the cost it's going to cost me to refi? Because you typically it costs money to refinance a mortgage. So what I did is find out what my break even point is, right? So I think mine was like, I can't remember, like 24 months or something like that. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be living in my house for another 2 years for sure. And therefore, I'm going to be breaking even on the closing costs I'm paying versus the savings I'm doing. So to me, that was worth it. But explain how it works is basically you're basically asking your lender, hey, I want to refinance my mortgage to a lower rate. And that's basically kind of it. I hope that answers your question in a roundabout way. But you're basically looking for a better rate and a lower payment. I wish I could tell you, Mercy, your opinion on the Fort Myers area as a new buyer. I have no idea what it's like, what the market is like there. I'm so sorry. If you want to shoot me an email, maybe I can link you up with an agent there. Maybe you can be able to tell you, but I have no idea what the market's like there. I wish I did. And by the way, my email is jason at meetjasonwalter.com in case anyone has any follow up questions. And here's another lender question. I probably should have a lender on the live streams here to answer these questions. Because really, this is kind of outside of my expertise. But is there a way to avoid mortgage insurance if you don't have 20% down? Maybe Linda can answer that question. She's in the chat here. There are certain programs you can do it in order to do that, but I really don't know the details. All right. Sam Frega, is it better to go through a private lender or bank for a home loan? So I'm assuming you're meaning for a home purchase. So um, it's a really good question. So what I personally would do is, if you're looking for a purchase, then I would ask your real estate agent for a referral. So, for example, the lender I work with in the Sacramento area, we've been working with each other for years, maybe like 3 or 4 years. He's helped a ton of my clients. He does an amazing job. And so often the real estate agents have a kind of like go to person for their lender, someone who they know, like, and trust. So I would ask your real estate agent for a referral for a loan officer. In my opinion, based on like the larger banks, we personally don't see a whole lot of home purchases with people having, like, I don't know, like Bank of America or Citibank pre-approval letters. In my opinion, there's a lot of like red tape to go through. I've had some really bad experiences with one of the large banks. Couldn't even tell you, man, horrible. Anyways, though, but yeah, I would ask your real estate agent. All right. All right. So Omar, stop sharing ratios of the 2020 lacks effective comparisons. Yeah, I really wish that, like, for example, like the California Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors, I really wish they would give us more numbers from like 2019. Um, 2018 is really hard to, I kind of disagree with you on this. You should share the true percentage of the 2018 market now. So what happened now, this time of year in 2018, was that interest rates absolutely skyrocketed, and that really slowed the housing market. So that didn't happen in 2019. So in my opinion, you'd have a more accurate depiction of how the market compares now to a more normal market, which in my opinion was back in 2019, was the most recent one. And then going back would be 2017. But 2018, if you look at a mortgage interest rate chart, you'll see that mortgage rates increased quite a bit in late 2018. That slowed the market. And then rates dropped again in early 2019. But it's a good website, Amar. If you want to go check out comparisons from now to 2020, 2019, Redfin has their actually really good housing market updates that they post, and they often have a graph showing how this year compares to 2019, which I actually look at that pretty frequently. You're very welcome. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching my videos. Yeah, Meet Kevin. I used to watch Meet Kevin's videos a lot, but ever since he posted like 16 videos a day, then I stopped watching his videos. But I do watch his videos when he posts a video about the housing market. He has really good insight. All right. Phone number. Would be selling my condo to my realtor. That's interesting. I'd be curious. How do you know you're selling it at the right price if you're selling it to a real estate agent? Really quickly being heavily impact my credit as opposed to. I don't think so. I don't see why that would affect your credit. I'd be more concerned about selling it to your real estate agent, because often if you put your house on the open market, you often can get the most money. Maybe you can work out a deal with your realtor and say, "Hey, I want to list the house for whatever 30 days and see what the market's going to bear, and see how that compares to your offer with my house." That way, you really would know whether or not your realtor is paying fair market value. All right. Sue M. We were looking to eventually move from Orange County, California to Palm Springs, about 100 miles. Do we use two agents? Thanks. Found you. Oh, cool. Right on. Christina. Yeah, that was fun doing the live streams on Christina's channel. So, yeah, thanks for your question. About 100 miles, I would say absolutely use two different agents. Personally, for myself, my territory is really like 30 miles from Sacramento, more or less, 30 to 40 miles. If I go out 100 miles, then the market's going to be way different. So, I would definitely reach out to a local real estate agent in the Palm Springs area and also Orange County. That'd be my advice. I would definitely use two agents for sure. So when to list your house and when to sell, when to buy. Yeah, this is a big problem. I mentioned this on the channel a whole bunch of times that before the Fed announced, hey, saying, hey, we're going to be tapering the bond purchases and we may increase the federal funds rate next year. In my opinion, the lack of affordability was becoming more and more of an issue, and that could potentially slow down the housing market. But that is definitely a big, big problem. And then we have a lack of affordable housing in America, which is a huge issue. And then home builders are not building affordable housing because they make much more money on buying or by building and selling much larger houses. And Flex 2125, I haven't actually looked into Senate Bill 9. Probably should do some research about that. Roxana, houses in Sac Elk Grove are way overpriced and not worth it. I hear you, man. No, not man. Sorry. I hear you because home prices have increased greatly. I think it was like 22% compared to 1 year ago. They have increased quite a bit. So I totally hear what you're saying. Nice. Congratulations, Eric. That's awesome. Filing escrow of a year-long search. Wow. Yeah, that's super frustrating for the home purchase process right now. I thought there would be no crashing time. I don't foresee that happening. Maybe a slowdown, maybe a correction. It just all depends on mortgage interest rates and how many people decide to list their houses for sale. I wish I had the answer to that. Anyone knows how many people are going to be listing their houses for sale in America? Let me know. Yeah, this is what me Kevin said in his video the other day, which is pretty much like a ballpark benchmark we look at. So the rule of 10. So a 1% interest rate hike increases a 10% decrease in home values. I'd say that could be pretty accurate. We didn't see that last year though, so I was going to comment on his channel because interest rates were around like what 2.75, and the increase to 3.4, but home prices continue to increase like crazy. This year may be different. Maybe into next year, we'll see. Good question, Adrian. So, what will feel to work with you before being an agent? I was actually a certified public accountant, CPA. I worked at KPMG, which is a big four accounting firm. Wow, being a real estate agent is so much more fun. It's more rewarding both financially and emotionally too, because you're really helping people. I was an auditor for KPMG for 4 years, and none of my clients said, "Hey, Jason, that was awesome. I just had the greatest audit ever. You changed my life. Thank you so much for that." No one ever said that, but people really enjoy it when you get them a good price for the house they're selling, or help them find a house to buy, and they buy it. You get to hand over the keys to your clients. I mean, that's just awesome. So, anyways, long-winded answer your question. I was a CPA. I was a CPA for like 6 years, I think it was. Been a real estate agent now for like 8.5 years. Being a real estate agent, nothing against CPAs and accountants, but I just really enjoy being a real estate agent. Much more better fit for myself. Um, Bobby, thanks for your question. And the Sacramento Realtor project going to affect that local market? That's a really good question. I actually haven't looked into so anyone who's not in the Sacramento area, there's a really old rail yard that is not in commission, hasn't been used in a very long time. They're going to be using this area to develop retail space. There's going to be some commercial there and also housing as well. They did many years of trying to get the soil and all the toxins out and everything, but that's going to be a really fun project to follow. And honestly, Bobby, I have not followed it in most recent past couple of years. So I actually don't know what's really going on there now. You're very welcome. Oh, I see. Neighbor is selling his for 20,000 less. So this is a follow up on your question saying your house went down in value. So are they selling it? So are they in escrow? Or is it the asking price? And also, is it similar lot size, similar updates, similar size house? So I just wait to see what they're actually going to be closing escrow for, and how's that compared to your house. If it's like very similar to your home, then yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks for hitting the like button. I appreciate that. We have 100 people still on the chat. Really appreciate this. Definitely leave me any questions in the chat here. All right. Yeah, Eric, starting to see prices go down. We're about to close escrow in a week, not regarding it as we plan. Yeah. If you have long-term time horizons, does it really matter if home prices go down for a year or two? I would just say that I would be more concerned about people looking to buy a house and then move next year or move in 2 years. That's very, very risky, in my opinion. You're very, very welcome. Yeah, shoot me an email if you have any questions. I mean, we've all been anyone who's in real estate has been a new real estate agent, so happy to help any way I can. Offer was accepted, but now they said if I don't stay with their lender, they're going to cancel. Offer was accepted. So I'm assuming you're a home buyer. Let's just say that you're a home buyer, your offer is accepted, but now they said if I don't stay with their lender, they're going to cancel. I'm not sure if there's a question here. So here's what I'm thinking. What you're probably saying, unique, is that you're a home buyer. You got your offer accepted. You say, hey, I'm going to be using this lender, and then you're signing. Now you want to change lenders. I'm assuming. I would have to know more about what's going on there. But typically, when you write an offer, you provide a pre-approval letter, and that pre-approval letter is a letter you typically are going to be closing escrow with. So if you're changing it, I would want to know, why you're changing it, and more about what's going on there. For everyone, Linda is a loan officer in Washington, soon to be licensed in California, Nevada. Thanks for joining, Linda, helping answer people's questions here. All right. Jose found a home for $380,000, new home built in 2008. That's great. Giving 20% down. Should I pull a trigger or should I wait? Yeah, I just kind of goes back to my advice to anyone, whether you're looking to buy next year, tomorrow, in 10 years, don't buy unless you have long-term time horizons of 7 to 10 plus years, a stable job, emergency fund, meaning your expenses for 3 to 6 months is tucked away in a bank account that you're not going to be using for home purchase. Also, to add to that, for anyone who is wanting to know, should I buy now or wait? I would also want to know too, what's your current living situation? Are you happy with that? If you buy, is your interest rate, or sorry, is your housing payment going to be skyrocketing? I mean, there's some people that have, they're maybe paying $500 in rent and they're happy, but they want to buy, but their housing payment's going to go up to like $2,000. So all that you have to take in consideration. But also you can house hack too. I don't know if that's in your cards as well. Jimmy 38 Super. Hey Jason, I currently own 2 properties here in Southern California. Awesome. Looking to relocate to Texas. My question is, can I buy a home in Texas while still living in California? You absolutely can. So I would reach out to your loan officer. So your loan officer would be in Texas or licensing in Texas, and ask them, hey, can I get pre-approved to buy a house here in Texas without selling my 2 properties? So I don't know. You currently own 2 properties. Okay, so you're not saying whether or not you want to sell those properties or not. So if I was in your shoes, I would ask the loan officer, hey, can I buy can I buy a property in Texas, or how much can I buy in Texas without selling my 2 properties in Southern California? I mean, you might be able to get pre-approved for a amount that you're comfortable with, that you're happy with that price point in Texas, and keep your 2 properties in Southern California and rent them out. That'd be awesome. Or you might find out, hey, I don't really have enough, or the lender's not pre-approving me for enough. Therefore, I may want to sell 1 or 2 of my properties in order to have those funds in order to buy a new property. Humble, are credit scores more important than your income to lenders now for a new home? That's a really good question. I would say it's just I don't know if there's like one favors of the other. Credit scores is really kind of like a fine line or a hard line, right? So you get the best interest rate if your credit score is above 740-ish, 740 to 760. You get the best interest rate, so the lowest interest rate. But they also, so when you're pre-approving for a loan, the lender's not just looking at your income. They're not just looking at your debt. They're looking at a bunch of things, right? Your credit score, your debt to income ratio, a lot of things they're looking at. So everything kind of has to line up to what they're looking for. So yeah, credit score 740. Your debt to income ratio should be less than 45%. Ali, really good question here. Will interest rates show another decrease? So I actually was thinking about making a video about saying, hey, is this the end of the 3% or less interest rate for mortgages? Because they actually been skyrocketing because the 10-year US Treasury yield has been increasing, the federal funds is going to be tapering, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't foresee interest rates decreasing. They seem to be going absolutely in the opposite direction. But I have been wrong in the past. I thought for sure that we would see interest rates of around like 3.5%, 3.2% by now. Actually, really close to that. But rates increased at 3.4% earlier this year, and they went back down to like 2.85%, something like that. So I was not expecting that. If I had a crystal ball, Ali, I would definitely tell you. But alas, I do not. Oh, okay. This is a different question here. I was forced to go with a builder lender. You were never forced to go with a builder lender, by the way. The house is closing on October 15th. How long one house to wait before refinancing? So I want to kind of make a point here, so make sure everyone knows, for everyone who's watching the video. So when you go to buy a brand new house, they often say, hey, you have to get pre-approved with our preferred lender. So you have to go through like the pre-approval process with a lender, but it's up to you. You can decide to use any lender you really want. So I've had people do that before where they get pre-approved with a local, where the builder's preferred lender and they use their own lender. So you're never forced to use the builder's lender. Houses closing after 15. And to answer your question here, I actually really don't really know. One thing, it really depends on how much equity you have in the house. So I don't know if you're buying with FHA, a conventional loan, if you're putting 20% down already. There's a lot of factors involved there. All right. Thanks, Linda, for answering people's questions. Appreciate that. And thank you for that too. Appreciate that. A lot of work goes into the making these videos, I tell you. But I enjoy doing it, and I actually enjoy making helping people out too. Because in my opinion, I'm giving people my honest feedback about what the housing market's doing right now. All right, Hillary Snyder, thanks for your question. What is your opinion on building right now? We own our own land. So of course, I don't know where you are in California. To build or even to remodel is absolutely insane. The prices are just so crazy. The price of lumber has gone down, but lumber futures price, anyways, I can go on and on about this, but I would say that uh, meet with a few builders to figure out how much it's actually going to cost to build. So my wife and I are going to be going through a big remodel in about a month now. We ordered appliances. We ordered cabinets, but the cabinets are going to be taking 12 weeks to arrive. The appliances are going to be taking 3 to 6 months. So we're having a lot of lag times and all these building material and everything that goes inside your house. A lot of lags because of COVID. So I would also ask any contractors or builders, what are the lag periods for all the things that go into building a house. If you're in California, it's very expensive to build right now. So lumber prices have gone down, but other building material prices have gone up still. It's just crazy. Hopefully it goes down soon. Raising Cane's. I actually never even been there. I think it's a restaurant, right? I don't think we really have it in Cali Dreamin'. Maybe we do have it in the Sacramento. I actually have no idea. Yeah, I totally agree. He posts so many. Meet Kevin. He is a phenom. I don't know how he posts so many videos in one single day, but I cannot keep track of it. That's for sure. All right. Allie, will property taxes show a slight decrease due to inflated prices of homes as a result of lower interest rates? Will property taxes show a slight decrease? So, property taxes are computed differently across the nation. So, in California, we have what's called a tax assessed value. So it's capped on, I think it's 2% increase every year. And so let's just say you buy a property for $1 million, your property taxes are going to be based on that valuation of $1 million. So your property taxes don't change based on um, lowering of interest rates. I'm not too sure I really understand your question here, I guess. Slight decrease due to inflated prices of homes. So property taxes are really, just to answer your question, property taxes are really based on your tax assessed value of your property. Plain and simple, really. Hope that answers your question in a roundabout way here. All right. All right. Do you think the law from 1995 for 55 plus will be changed? I'm not too sure what that law is you're referring to. I know these communities are affordable, growing, and are in good community areas, let young families can't. But let young families can't live there. So I'm assuming if you're interested in in a community that's age 55 plus, so I dare I say retirement community. That's 55 seems a little young for that, but yeah, in a community where you have to be 55 years or older. Those are basically in the bylaws of the community. I'd be surprised if they were to change that because everyone who bought into that community is buying it because they want to live in a neighborhood where everyone is 55 plus. So I haven't personally seen any changes regarding that. Not to say it doesn't may not happen, but that seems a little far fetched if it was to change. Yeah, I hear you, Pub. I was ready to buy for a single home, but hesitant because of housing price. Now I'm stuck paying rent, and that is going up too. Yeah, I hear you. Rental prices and home prices have absolutely skyrocketed since early, what, May or June of last year. I feel you, man. Thank you, Kelly. Dreamin', I appreciate that. Some of these videos take so much time to research. First problem is trying to figure out what video should I make that you guys are going to be enjoying, and then also how to do all the research for it. So yeah, I appreciate that very much. This is a really good question. Maybe I should make a video about this. So let me know if you guys have a interest in this video. But what would be something that would make the housing market crash? So a crash is a pretty big word, right? So a crash, I envision something where home prices go down like 20% or something crazy like that. So in order to have a housing market crash, I would say that you have to have basically two main things happen. That'd be that housing inventory absolutely skyrockets, meaning that home buyers have a bunch of different options when they're deciding on which house to place an offer on. And then also on top of that, interest rates skyrocketed as well. If those two things happened, then I would expect home prices to decrease greatly. Do I expect that to happen? I don't see anything in the forecast that's telling me that. Um, so yeah, hope that answers your question. Yeah, exactly. So S House Nick, yeah, 8 years in agent. I got my license in the beginning of 2013. So I was an agent when we had the last housing crash. I'm actually not familiar real estate with John. So his question is, hey, Jason, how do you feel about the Galt Elk Grove area with a new casino being built? Who will help the areas nearby? Actually, I haven't looked into that, so I really couldn't answer that. One thing I did read, though, is that the Sacramento Zoo may relocate to Elk Grove potentially. That'd be interesting. I wonder if there's any houses that'd be close by hearing monkeys and stuff. So yeah, I really don't know how much about that casino being built down there. I wish I could answer your question. All right. Mashish, thanks for your question. Is Sacramento still a good place to invest for turnkey? I assume like a turnkey property, meaning it's fully remodeled. I would say that what I'm personally seeing, we've seen a lot of people still moving from more expensive areas to more affordable areas, right? So New York City to Austin, Texas, or the Bay Area to Sacramento area. We're still seeing a lot of that, a lot of stay at home people who still can work remotely. And so I'm personally seeing that Sacramento, we're still going to be seeing a increase of people moving here. But I'm not saying that home prices are going to be increasing forever here. So I would say that in investing in the Sacramento market, which I actually have a lot of experience with this, I actually started my real estate career about 8 years ago. Um, it really depends on how much money you put down. So, and the area, of course, you're looking to invest in. So, if you're looking to put down 20% down, it can be a little bit challenging to have a positive ROI. Um, if you're looking to put down a little bit more than that, then that could be, you might have a positive return on your investment. So, it's really hard to answer your question. I would say it depends on your price point, how much money you're willing to put down. If you have any follow up questions, you can shoot me an email. All right. So, any benefits using a real estate agent for a new home purchase? This is a really good question. So, the other side of this is that there's really no downside of using a real estate agent for a new home purchase, right? So, let's just say you go to a new home builder and you don't have a real estate agent. The new home builder is not going to give you a concession or a discount because you're not using a real estate agent. So, in my opinion, you might as well have a real estate agent represent you. Then often these purchase contracts for new home purchases are just very hard to read through. They're often over 100 pages long. So it'd be really nice, in my opinion, to have someone who has some experience with looking at that to help you guide through that process. Because I can't tell you how many times where I said, told my clients, I can't find anything here with any thing on the contract that says how you can back out and get your deposit back. And you reach out to the sales rep, they go, oh, don't worry about it. Like, we'll give you your deposit back if the house doesn't appraise. Like, okay, well, where does it say it on the contract? Oh, it doesn't say it anywhere there, but don't worry about it. You freaking kidding me? This is stupid. So, any case, okay, I went off on a tangent there, but I would say that the purchase contracts for buying a brand new house in a large development can be very, very confusing. So I would definitely would have a real estate agent represent you. They're not gonna. There's no downside to it, in my opinion. Yeah, this is a good question. It's like chicken and egg problem, right? Is a rate hike good for a buyer or is it not? So it's a good question. So um, I think I'll answer this by saying that interest rates absolutely dropped greatly in middle and early last year, right? So interest rates hit record lows. That's why home prices are so high. That's why home buyer demand is so high. So a decrease of mortgage interest rates cause an increase of demand, which causes an increase of home prices, which sometimes can defeat the benefits of having a lower interest rate because prices increase so much. So is a rate hike good for a buyer or is it not? So typically if we have a, let's say, a big rate hike, then that could slow the housing market, which potentially could decrease home prices, which of course is good for a home buyer. It just depends on how much the rates increase. Oh yeah. Las Vegas still on fire, huh? I need some water here. I read, excuse me, I read the market there is absolutely hot, hot, hot. All right, I'm going to get through some of these other questions here. Thank you everyone for still here. Gosh, just have 100 people on the chat. It's pretty awesome on the live stream. I mean, all right. So, Nia Mia, living and working in another state, does that income can have mortgage loan to buy a house here in California? Does that income can have? I think what you're saying is that you live in another state, income to have a mortgage to buy a house. So the question I would have for you is, are you looking for buying a house that's an investment property or for a house to live in? So living and working in another state, does that income have a mortgage loan to buy a house here in California? I'm not actually, I'm trying to figure out what you're asking here, but I'm kind of scratching my head. I'm not too sure what your question is there. You're living and working in another state. Does that income can have mortgage loan? I think you're saying is that you live and work in another state. You want to buy a house in California, and you're saying your income, even though you work in a different state, can use that to buy a house in California. And the answer is yes, for investment property for sure, because you're not going to be living in it. But if you are looking to buy a house to live in it, then you would have to see. It just depends on your working arrangements, right? So if you're going to be transferring to your work's going to be transferring to California, then you would have to get a letter from your employer saying that you're going to be working in California. Or if you're going to be working remotely, your lender probably also would want to know, get confirmation from your employer saying, hey, yeah, you're good to work remotely. You can work in California, even though your job's in out of state. So yeah, I would just would reach out to your loan officer and find out about that. You're very welcome. Being an agent is definitely rewarding. Okay, yeah, Adrian, are you a real estate agent? Thank you for answering my question. Great career switch. Yeah, thank you. So much more fun being a real estate agent than, oh my gosh, my first job is working at KPMG. I got to work at 8:30 a.m. It's my first job, my first client I had. Got there at 8:30 a.m. We left anywhere between like 10 p.m. to like 11:30 p.m. And have like an hour for lunch or whatever. It was a joke. I could not. And then worked on Saturdays as well. So we did that Monday through Friday, and then on Saturdays. And that was like our busy season, January through April. Oh my gosh, so stressful. It just, you have no life whatsoever. Being a CPA, you can have a wide range of career opportunities, but working for a big four accounting firm, that was my experience and many people's experience. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thanks for informative content. I appreciate you joining us this evening. You're very welcome, Humble. Thanks for that. Yeah, you're very welcome, Ali, as well. Thanks, Linda. All right. I need to get through some of these questions here. Thank you for everyone for joining. 113 people. So crazy. Yeah. So mortgages are tied directly to them. More. Yeah. So there's a loosely connection to the 10-year U.S. Treasury yield. So the Treasury yield tends to go up, then mortgage rates sometimes can go up. But yeah, the Fed not buying as many mortgage-backed securities, that should increase rates. Thanks for going live to answer what you're very welcome, Jennifer. Appreciate you joining. You know what I should do, Ali? I am not a loan officer. Maybe I can get a loan officer on for a live stream sometime to answer any loan related questions. But yeah, I can even do like a collab and talk about that as well. So anyone else has an interest in that, let me know. You're very, very welcome, Jimmy. No, you can't. Probably not. So good question. Let me get water here. This is a really good question because when you refinance, you basically have a apply for the loan balance, right? So if I was looking to, let's just say I quit my job, I have no job, I want to refinance my mortgage, then you still have to provide proof that you can pay your housing payment. So you definitely have to have a job if you want to refi. Unless you have a ton of money in a retirement account, for example, or other funds, and then sometimes the lender can get a little bit creative and saying, "Hey, you're going to be doing a draw each month." So there might be something like that if you have a ton of money stowed away in the stock market, for example. But typically, you do have to have a job because you have to provide proof you can pay for your housing payment after your refi. Patricia, I'm not sure what you're referring to. Why didn't you answer my question? Maybe you post your question again. I didn't see it. Ben Boom. Yeah, I'm not too sure about how Evergrande is going to affect the housing market. It's going to be interesting to see if the Chinese government bails them out or if they're going to be doing some restructuring. It doesn't seem like it's going to be helping out or going to be affecting the housing market as of yet. Time will tell, though. And thanks for the compliment. Am I doing this chat thing wrong? I don't know. I didn't see your previous question. I didn't see a question that you posted. But yeah, if you just leave your question there, then I'll answer it. You're welcome, Allie. All right. Let me see if I can answer this question. So, Patty McGill, thanks for your question. Been in foreclosure for 8 years. Do you mean you've been out of foreclosure? Like you did a foreclosure 8 years ago? Been in foreclosure 8 years. I'm in forbearance due to COVID. Sorry to hear that. I'm not certain if I have any equity left. Is it possible to rent the home and get a new mortgage with bad credit in foreclosure? So is it possible to rent my home and get it? So to get a new mortgage with bad credit. So typically you want to have credit if you want the best rate of 740 your FICO score. I think the minimum is around like 600 or something like that. Maybe Linda, if she's still in the chat here, can answer that. So if you want to buy a new house or have a new mortgage with bad credit, it's gonna be a little bit challenging. And if you're in foreclosure, that's gonna be really, really challenging. If you're in forbearance though, due to COVID, um, there's a lot of options. So if you have I don't know if you have a government-backed loan. So if you have a loan that's an FHA, a VA loan, a USDA loan, or a loan that's backed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, those are all government-backed loans, and you're protected thanks to the CARES Act that was enacted in what was that in March of last year. And so, what I would do if I was in your situation, it sounds like you are in foreclosure. So, my question for you is: Did you enter into forbearance when you were already behind on your mortgage payments? If so, then that's be challenging to. That's going to affect your credit even greater. But I would, if I was in your shoes, I would contact your loan servicer, which is a company you pay your mortgage payments to, and say, "Hey, I'm in forbearance. What are my options for getting out of forbearance?" Because there's a myth that if you have a fairly back mortgage, you have to pay all your missed mortgage payments in one lump sum payment, and that's not the case. So contact your loan servicer and find out what options you have when you exit your forbearance. If you have a fairly back mortgage, you are not required to do a one-time lump sum payment. Ben Johnson, RPM Mortgage, appreciate the $4.99 donation. Appreciate that. I don't even know how to show on the screen. I'm so new to this. Ben Johnson, appreciate that. We'd love to do a joint live. So yeah, shoot me an email at jason@meetjasonwalter.com. Maybe we can do one. All right. Patricia, so bought a house for 165,000, selling for 650. Wow, that's a big increase. That's awesome. How can I avoid capital gains? So you're probably going to have to pay capital gains taxes, I'm assuming. This is not tax advice. I am not a tax attorney. I'm not a tax accountant. But I would reach out to a local tax accountant in your area. But if you have a gain of 650, or you're selling it for 650 and you bought it for 165, one thing your tax accountants probably want to know is, did you do any improvements to your house? If you did, I don't know, $600,000 in improvements on your house that affect the increases the value of your property, then you might get away with paying capital gains taxes. But reach out to a local or not local, really a tax accountant, and ask them what are your options. So the big thing there that might be your saving grace, if you did any improvements on your property, that might increase your tax basis, which may decrease, or you might get to a place if you have a whole bunch of improvements on your property to get to the $250,000 exclusion. But yeah, talk to a tax accountant. Suffering sucks. How do you like Nevada City, Grass Valley, California? I actually have not spent a whole much time there at all. I've only been in Nevada City like once, maybe Grass Valley once. So I really have no idea. If you're thinking about buying there, one thing you might want to look into is how much home insurance is going to cost there. I'm not too sure if they're in a wildfire zone or not, but some of these cities and communities in the foothills have had their home insurances go up quite a bit because of wildfire danger. So if you're contemplating about living up there, buying a house, then I would look into that. All right on. Thanks, Allie. Appreciate you and your research you do for us. Thanks, Allie. Longtime follower of you. Oh, awesome. That's cool. Thanks for following the channel for so long. That's awesome. And this actually, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about that. I think it depends. It used to depend on the county you're moving from to the county you're moving to, and I believe that might have changed. And honestly, I haven't done a whole lot of research about that. Good for you, Linda. Thanks for joining us. And cap rates, yeah, I'm not really too sure. So cap rates often, usually you're talking about for commercial properties. I'm not really too sure what really seen. I don't do commercial properties. Johnny G just saw this. There is a chance that we will see big declines in coming years. Big declines in housing, stock market. I'm not sure. Case-Shiller was talking about housing. Yeah, it's the Case-Shiller just announced their home price index more recently. But it was for like July. They're always like 2 months behind, so I don't really talk too much about the Case-Shiller index. All right, Alex Jetter. If I'm getting my real estate license, is a good idea to keep my day job and start out as a Redfin agent on the side. I'm not too sure how Redfin works. Maybe you can. I would find out first if you can work part time with Redfin. Just about any other broker you can. But Redfin, you tend to be a what do you call it? You're given a salary, and then I think you get like a small commission per sale, I believe. But yeah, I'm not too sure if you need to work part time as a Redfin agent. I actually really don't know. But big picture though, if you're getting your real estate agent license right now, and you want to enter into being a real estate agent, then honestly, it can take months for you to even find a client, let alone sell a house. So let's just say you get your real estate license. It takes you 3 months to find a client, which is not uncommon. And then you take, 2 months in order to help them find a house. You place offers and they get an offer accepted. Then they close 30 days later. So that's what, like 6 months down the road from when you got your real estate license to when you are going to get your first commission check. So that can be a long time. Honestly, I just dove in head first, and I moved from being a CPA to real estate. Just I did it full time. And never looked back. Um, and so I would say, what are your living expenses? What's your life like? Or do you have people that depend on you, like dependents? Because some people do work as a real estate agent part time. Thanks, Linda. Have a good week too. Yeah, good time to buy. Would you buy a house right now? Would you buy a house right now? I assume you probably mean. So yeah, is it now a good time to buy? I would just say don't listen to a real estate agent, including myself. Just buy when it's right for you. Have long-term time horizons. Oh, right now, there you go. Yeah. But yeah, I would just say, yeah, just have long-term time horizons. Make sure you have an emergency fund. All right. Getting to these questions. I have a lot here. All right. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind on these comments. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay, there you go. He just answered your question here. I'm a Redfin agent. I'm part-time. You will show homes, and that is it. You get paid for. Oh, okay. So they basically pay you to open up doors for people. You're very welcome, Angelica. All right. So yeah. Hey, Burned Up. Hope all is well. Hope all is well as you. What is the fastest you've closed on a conventional loan purchase? Oh man, conventional loan purchase, the fastest. I would say in the range of 15 to 18 days is probably the fastest, I would say. Yeah. Yeah, shoot me a email, Ben. RPM Mortgage. I wonder where you're based out of. Yeah, Jason at meetjasonwalter.com. Linda's back. She's here to help. All right. Okay, cool. Kyle Seagraves or Jennifer. I think I've seen them. Is Kyle Seagraves Win the House You Love or something like that? I should probably reach out to him. Have you heard of Ria Venture Consulting? I think he has a YouTube channel, right? You guys both have great insight. Would love to see a collab and a review. Maybe I should spend more time watching his videos. I'm a little bit turned off, honestly, by a lot of the thumbnails and titles, a lot of like doom and gloom, it seems like. But I haven't spent a lot of time looking at his videos. So maybe there's some good data he shares there. So thanks for the suggestion. I'll look into it. Is it good to buy in the USA? Yeah, it just goes back to other questions that people had about that. Just have long-term time horizons, 7 to 10 plus years. All right. Irish in USA. Thanks for your question. We were hoping to retire in end of 2022, and now we're looking to at new homes. Your vlogs are very helpful. Awesome. Glad they're helpful. Question based on the current market. Now thinking, waiting until 2000. Any advice? If we retire end of 2022, any advice? I would just say do as much research as you can on the area you're looking to buy in. Be my best advice for you. One Chupa Dita. Thank you for the super chat, $4.99. I appreciate that very much. If I ever buy a house, I want Jason to be my agent. That's awesome. Yeah, you can reach out anytime. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, Reventure. Yeah, I need to watch. I probably should watch some of his videos. Appreciate it, Johnny. Yeah, please hit the like button. I appreciate that. Sorry, I didn't show this earlier, but yeah, Ben, thank you for that. And yeah, shoot me an email. So Roxana, rent here in Elk Grove is almost $2,000 in NOV, and now waiting on the lender. Cool. Hope you get approved for a great amount and get a house. That'd be awesome. All right, you want to buy real estate under $40,000 in California? Are you saying you want to buy for less than 40,000? I don't know any areas where you can buy for less than 40,000, but maybe there are. Not in Sacramento, as far as I know. And Ben's licensed in California, Oregon, and Texas. Ben, do you have a real estate channel or a real estate channel, a YouTube channel? All right. Hey, Jason, big investors have been in the game since the pandemic started. Yep, absolutely. Is it possible that big investors as a group can be influencing or manipulating real estate prices? Thank you. I'm the big investors typically have a very low market share. And so, in my opinion, if that's the case, I imagine it would probably vary by the area, of course, right? If you have an area where Blackstone's buying a ton of houses, for example, then they can definitely affect the market. I personally saw that when was that? In 2013, 2012 in Sacramento, we had Blackstone, all these other private equity firms buying houses, all cash. It was very, very challenging for people using a loan to buy houses that are affordable. We're not seeing that in my marketplace right now. Richard here, 113 people and only 72 likes. What? Yeah, we had 104 people. If everyone just hit the like button, we appreciate that. That pushes the video out to others, helps grow the channel. I really appreciate that. Thanks, sir, Richard. Okay, yeah, you're already behind on your before your forbearance, so that would definitely affect your or should affect or negatively affect your credit. So if you enter into forbearance when you're already behind your mortgage, then your credit still gets goes down when you're in forbearance. But contact your loan servicer. Yeah, you're very welcome. Hope it all works out. I recently sold my house, so I had to pay taxes on the gain, even if it was my first and only property. So the question for you is, are you married or are you single? And so there's a certain, and also was it your primary residence? These are questions you have to ask find out. But you do have to pay capital gains taxes on certain scenarios. But yeah, contact a local tax accountant, because I don't know your whole situation, so I can't really tell you. Yeah, such a good question. So humble, we were looking to buy a new build in California. The homes increased by more than $50,000. How will the appraisal support that increase? I always wondered about this too, because it can be really challenging to well, find a house to get in contract for a new build, but also the appraisals. Um, Whenever I talk to sales reps about this from new home developments, they're always, "Oh yeah, we never have an issue with appraisals." But then I always worry about that too, because often there's not verbiage in the contract that says, "Hey, if it doesn't appraise, you can back out and get your deposit back." I've had heard of the areas where they want people to waive their appraisal, right? I want to buy real estate under $40,000 in California. I'm not familiar with any area that you can buy real estate for under 40,000. Um, Maybe a mobile home, maybe somewhere. I'm really not too sure. Wish I could answer your question there. In Sacramento, our average or median price is around 515, but maybe you can buy a condo or a mobile home, maybe somewhere. Not too sure. All right. Question: if I have cash for a down payment, should we get a VA or conventional mortgage? So VAs, if you can take advantage of that, it's an awesome program. 0% down. It's really, really awesome. Conventional mortgage, yeah, you have to put down at least 5%, often 20%. So I would say that I know I say this all the time, it depends, but it depends on the property. So if you are interested in, let's say, like an older house that's like built in the early 1900s, then probably or potentially it could have a lot of issues like health and safety issues, like maybe like chip paint on the outside, there's dry rot. That can be some hurdles you might have to overcome with a VA loan, especially when you get looking for writing offers. So in that case, if there's a house that needs some upkeep or TLC, a conventional loan might be better than a VA loan. So it depends on what kind of properties you're looking to buy. And I'm sure a loan officer too can like break down what your payment would be for each of those as well. I think you're the one who said you were retiring as well. So I would look at how your housing payment would differ too. But if you're going to be putting down, let's say 20% anyways, then you might as well do a conventional loan, not a VA. I don't know of any. Shook Khan, is there any decent real estate investment clubs? And then, yeah, I don't belong to any clubs at all for investments. I know they do exist, but I'm not too sure if they're any good or not. Thanks for your question. All right. All right. Ford Focus. I wonder what kind of car you own. um, all right. So he just says Mark's from Carmichael, California, near Stack. Been scared to buy a house. It's been, yeah, I totally hear you, man. Home prices have been going up so much. Do you think prices will come down somewhat in the next 2 years? Is it worth the wait? Yeah, it's so hard to tell because it's impossible to predict a how many people are going to be listing their houses for sale, and then also what are interest rates going to be doing? Are they going to be increasing greatly or not? And how much will home prices be affected by that? I would say rather than time the market, just buy when it's right for you, and buy a home with a housing payment you're comfortable with as well. Hard to say whether or not prices are going to be going down next year, year after. It's tough to say. Yeah, you're looking to buy around 500,000 at $20,000, 20% down. That's great. That's awesome. You saved $100,000. It's impressive. If you have a follow up question, you can shoot me an email too if you want. All right, Alex. Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for that. And Roxana, you're very welcome as well. Okay, you're in Roseville. Awesome. All right. Yeah, good question. So, any reason for brokers helping find or building multi units? Yeah, shoot me an email, jason at meetjasonwalter.com. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Jim, I should have shown this a million years ago. I'm sorry. Thank you for the super chat. We're about a house. I want Jason to be my agent. Hey, yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes, this is such a good question. So, outdoor edition, what are your thoughts about the impact of the planned rate hikes from the Fed on the Sacramento housing market? So, this is really going to affect the entire market in the United States, in my opinion. But it depends on how much they increase the rates, right? And when they do it. It seems like it's going to happen towards the end of next year. So if that does happen, then that should increase mortgage interest rates, the interest rate, and it could slow down or even impact negatively, cause the housing market to home prices to decrease in the Sacramento market. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, the Sacramento market is people say, oh, there's like everyone's moving from the Bay Area, the home price is going to increase forever. BS. If interest rates increase greatly and inventory increases greatly, then home prices go down. Not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. Definitely do on a good loan agent. So if you're in this California, or in the state of California, then definitely just shoot me an email, Jason at meetjasonwalter.com. I can give you a referral. Maybe so. 40,000 be very challenging to buy a house. Finding a multi-units, triplexes, and quads. So yeah, as a real estate agent, I can any real estate agent in residential can help with single to quads. So yeah, if you want any assistance regarding that, then shoot me an email. Good question. So, what happens after forbearance ends? Are you able to purchase another home soon after as it ends? Yeah, it depends on the situation you entered into. So, if you were already, if someone was already late on their mortgage payment, they entered into forbearance, their credit score is going to be negatively impacted. Normally, you can enter buy a house after forbearance. It just depends on what happened before that. But what happens after forbearance ends? So there's a good website. So I guess here's my advice for anyone who's looking to end their forbearance plan. It sounds like maybe you're looking to end it. Is a contact your loan servicer and ask them, hey, what are my options? What are my legal options for exiting forbearance? How do I pay back all these missed payments? Right. So it varies by the type of loan you have. If you have a fairly backed mortgage, you have a lot of options for you. Most people are doing a payment deferral where you add all your missed payments to your loan balance, but your housing payment remains exactly the same. So maybe you have, I don't know, maybe it's like you had 30 years or 20 years left, and now your term's gonna be extended to 21 years, whatever it is. So most people are doing that if they have a fairly backed mortgage, and most people are not required to do a one-time lump sum payment. So I would reach out to your loan servicer and ask them what options you have. If you want, you can shoot me an email as well, because I can send you some links to some resources to show you what your options are being, and also what other people have done when they ended their forbearance plan. And then your question about, can you purchase another home after it ends? Contact a loan officer regarding that. I'm glad. Thank you very much for that. All right. Per residence. Bobby B, you're very, very welcome. Do you think Lincoln will continue to grow? Just went into contract a new home build there. Oh, awesome. Congratulations on that. There's so much land around Lincoln that it seems like it would continue to grow, but that's only if demand is still there. There's a lot of land out there to build on. All right. Okay. Question. All right, Christian, what should I first time home buyer look for investing into apartment complexes or multifamily homes? A first time home buyer. If you're a first time home buyer and can buy an apartment complex, then good for you. I mean, that'd be impressive. I don't have any experience with apartment buildings, so I only have a license for 1 to 4 units. Multifamily houses. So if I was a first time home buyer, then I would look into house hacking. So you can, gosh, I'm losing my voice here. So buying a duplex, for example, you can use this regular financing and then rent out one side and then live in the other to help pay your mortgage payment. That's probably what I would do. I wish I could tell you. No idea. If I had a crystal ball, I would definitely tell you. All right, I need to probably wrap this up here. Have dinner with my wife here pretty soon here. I really appreciate you guys joining me. I want to get to your questions you guys have here, though. Also, our new home build requires us to buy solar because of new California regulations. Yeah, you buy a new house, they require you to have solar. Usually the home builder does that, though, unless you're buying land and building yourself. Sunrun have to go with them. I have heard of Sunrun. That's basically all I can tell you. There's so many solar companies out there. The only contract with Sunrun. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of Sunrun, but I don't know anything really much about them. I wish I could tell you. I wish I could tell you about the Yuba City area. Not familiar with the market there, even though it's about an hour north of me, 45 minutes. Oh yeah, market is changing. Time to sell. Yeah, and I never even been to Clear Lakes. I wish I could tell you. You're very welcome, Christian, and Edward. You're very welcome as well, and Bobby. You're very welcome. All right, that wraps it up. If anyone else has any last minute questions, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm wondering too, if you guys, how's this time work for you guys? I'm thinking about doing this every single week at 6:30 p.m. So seems like we had about 100 people solid for the entire time here. So let me know if this time works for you guys. If you have any follow-up questions, please leave me a comment in the video below there. Thank you, Bobby. We'll enjoy dinner with my wife. I don't even know what we're going to have. It's 8 o'clock. I am starving. But yeah, if you guys have any follow-up questions, then leave me a comment in the video below. And then looking forward to doing this again next week. Next week, I'm actually do plan to do it. I was planning on not doing it because I was going to be out of town, but we're going to be in town. So yeah, you're very welcome, guys. Jennifer, Outdoor Edition. Yeah, absolutely appreciate you guys. Really appreciate you guys joining us, and still have 100 people. It absolutely blows my mind. Anyways, hope you guys have an awesome night, and please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. And please browse the channel. Until next time, see you next video. Bye.